So we're at Creature Bar today. So Creature Bar has a special place for me. So Creature Bar was the first place to take on any of my JKB Brewing beers. And so just like walking in and seeing my beer on tap for the first time was a real surreal moment. And so why are we even here today? Well, we are here today to taste my two beers in the wild for the first time together. So you've seen me before crap on the channel at home behind my bar in a controlled tasting environment about how my beers taste, but today is about getting the real experience of how it will taste to you when you try the beer out in the real world. So let's get into it. So first we have F-Wit Dark Wheat Beer. So this was the first beer for JKB Brewing, and this is the first beer that Creature Bar took on, and currently they're the only place to serve this exclusive beer. So very exclusive. So the idea behind this beer is supposed to be that beer for, you know, when you've had that long week, you know, at work or during the week and you've just been dealing with F-Wits all week basically. And then you wanna, you know, it's that Friday night, end of the week, you wanna sit down, have a beer just that you can sort of ponder over, you know, dive into something that tastes really good, but it's not too difficult to get through because you've already had a difficult week getting through all of life's BS. So that's the idea behind this beer. You know, it's flavorful enough that you can explore it, but also easy enough to drink that it's easy enough to drink. So yeah, so this, as I said, it's a dark wheat beer, about 5%. It's got notes of coffee and chocolate, but it's like smooth and clean roast coffee and chocolate. So it's got dark wheat beer, so none of those harsh roasted character in it. And it's also got this crispness about it too that you get in pale wheat beer. So it's really that mix of pale wheat beer crispness that you know, really refreshing on a hot day, and that satisfaction of smooth coffee and roast chocolate. And so that's what you get in this beer. So particularly when it's colder, at lower temperatures, you get the real crisp and refreshing character of this beer. And then as you let it warm up, you get some more of that coffee and roast coming through. So I think this is really good. It's definitely not a heavy dark wheat, it's definitely not a heavy dark beer. So it is great for a hot day, particularly when it's cold. You can get some of that real crisp character coming through. It will really refresh you on a hot day. And then if it's cold, you just let it warm up a little bit and you get that satisfaction of that coffee and chocolate. Yeah, so if you're unaware, the inspiration behind this beer this comes from one of my favorite homebrew recipes of all time. And so it's been really amazing to see this beer go from a homebrew to a pro brew. And I do have it on the channel how this beer was brewed. And if you want to see the journey of that, I'm sure there'll be a link up here somewhere. But importantly, who is this beer for? Who will like this beer? So if you're into really like heavy roasted dark beer, it's probably not for you. So if you're looking after something that real, I'm gonna say almost like harsh, deep roasted, almost like a heavy stout kind of character, this is definitely not the beer that will satisfy that itch for you. But I have had people who like that close to basically hating dark beer altogether who've had this and said this is really, really good and they like it. So I think if you're wanting something, if you want a dark beer, but it's a bit on the lighter side, then this is certainly the dark beer for you.
Okay, quick aside here. Despite the fact that this was intended as a summer offering for JKB Brewing, when I first tried this beer out of the fermenter, it absolutely bucketed down on the day, and now that I'm trying it for the first time in the wild, it's also raining. So I have the feeling that rain just follows this beer. Okay, back to what we're actually here for.
Alright, now we've got the second JKB Brewing beer, which is our Belgian Pale Ale. Goudness Gracious comes in at 5.5%. So yes, this is on tap here at Creature, and it is also available on tap at the Windsor Ale House as well. And depending on when this video goes out and when things happen in the real world, but it may be on tap at Mr. West, or at least coming to tap soon at Mr. West. So this beer here, what's the idea behind this beer? So this is meant to be like a Belgian beer, but scaled down to 5%. So you know, like when you want a Belgian beer, but you don't really want to chug through a whole 8% kind of ordeal, this is a great beer for you. If you love Belgian beer, or maybe if you're a bit intimidated about having a big 8% Belgian beer, but you just want something a bit more sessionable, of course, sessionable for Belgian beer is 5.5%, then this is for you. So, but it's also got a bit of a twist to it as well. It's got a dry hop on the end as well. So it's a bit of this lemon lime edge, which I think really adds into the beer. So it makes it really, gives us this refreshing character along with a replenishing character as well. So think about, you know, it's a hot day. You want to get down with your mates at the end of the day in that golden hour before the sun sets. You just want to enjoy something that's relatively easy to taste, but also full of flavor, then this beer is for you. So yeah, so just on that aroma, getting like that Belgian yeast coming through. It's not like too over the top, but you get some of that Belgian yeast character and some of that lemon lime. It's really, really enticing. I think this is a great beer for that it's a great pale adjacent beer. So not quite pale ale. So if you're like into pale ale, but you want to explore something a little bit different, or you want to have something a little bit different on your taps, this is great for that sort of category, to sit next to a pale ale, something a bit more, something a little bit more exciting and to explore than a pale ale, then this is the type of beer for you.
You can expect this beer to be fairly clean, with a clean malt backbone and clean bitterness, as well as a lemon lime hop edge and a touch of yeast pepper on the end. Combine that with a little bit of sweet fruit from the yeast coming through the beer and some honey from the aromatic malt, and you end up with a beer that is refreshing enough to quench, as well as being flavorful enough to give you something to explore.
Hey Melbourne venues serving independent craft beer on your taps. Would you like something with unique flavors, bold names, and an experience in every sip? Well, I would love nothing more than to chat to you about my beers. Get in touch with me at the email below, and at the very least, let me shout you a free sample of our beer so you can try it for yourself. I mean, why believe me when you can be your own judge? So it's incredible to see something that you've poured your heart and soul and passion into to actually come to life and actually be on tap. And I'm sure you'll enjoy these beers too when you have them. And if you haven't seen how these beers are made and the journey of these craft beers, well, you can check that out right here. Otherwise, until next time, cheers. So you can be the judge for yourself. It was all good, apart from the difference between them and you.